Tell me if this sounds familiar, if you've had these thoughts before. I'll start investing when I have more, or you need thousands to even begin. The truth is that that belief is what quietly keeps people stuck for years. Here's the problem with it. If that really was the case that you needed a lot to start, no one would ever start. Everyone would just wait. The reality is, with building wealth, most people aren't held back by lack of money. They're held back by how they think about starting. And once you see what actually matters, it changes how you approach everything. In this video, we're going to talk about how people do it. As a quick note, this is educational, not financial advice. If it's not about how much money you start with, then what actually matters? It comes down to one thing that feels almost too simple: consistency. Not big wins, not lucky breaks, just small amounts repeated over time. Think about it like planting something. One seed doesn't look like much, but if you keep watering it day after day, something starts to grow. The mistake most people make is expecting immediate results, and when they don't see them, they stop. But to understand why consistency works, you have to see what it looks like at the beginning. Here's the part nobody talks about. The beginning is really boring. You put in a little money and almost nothing seems to happen. The numbers barely move. It feels like you're wasting your time. And this is right where most people quit because it doesn't feel rewarding. There's no excitement and no visible progress. But what's actually happening is something you can't really see yet. You're building the base. Just like a snowball rolling down a hill, it starts small. So small it almost looks pointless. But it's an important step as it's exactly what makes the next stage possible. At some point, things start to change and it feels almost sudden. That same slow, steady effort begins to pick up speed. The numbers start moving more. Progress becomes noticeable and it catches people off guard because it didn't feel like much was happening before. But nothing changed overnight. The work was always there. It just needed time to build momentum. This is the turning point most people never reach, not because it's hard, but because they quit too early. And what's driving this shift is something incredibly powerful. What's actually happening behind the scenes is compound growth. Your money starts earning money, and then that new money starts earning more too. It's not just growth, it's growth on top of growth. At first, it's barely noticeable, but over time, it starts stacking faster and faster. This is why small amounts can turn into something meaningful, because they don't stay small forever. But there's one factor that matters even more than how much you invest. If you had to choose between starting with more money or starting earlier wins almost every time because time gives compound growth room to work. Someone investing small amounts consistently over many years will often end up ahead of someone who starts later with bigger amounts. It's not about who puts in more, it's about who gives it more time so compounding can work. And this is where people make a costly mistake without even realizing it. Most people don't fail because they can't afford to invest. They fail because it feels too slow. They start, they see little progress, and assume it's just not working. Or they get distracted, spending more, comparing themselves to others, chasing faster results. And right before things would have started accelerating, they stop. That's the trap, because the strategy itself isn't complicated, but sticking with it is. So you might think, okay, great. How do you make all this actually work in real life? The strategy for most that have built wealth is simple enough that most people overlook it. Invest small amounts consistently and automate it. They take the decision out of their hands, setting things up so momentum happens whether they feel motivated or not, because relying on willpower doesn't work long term. When it's automatic, it removes friction, and consistency happens without even thinking about it. And that's what keeps you in the game long enough for everything to start working in your favor. After enough time, something interesting happens. What started as small, almost insignificant contributions turns into something real, not because of one big move, but because you stayed consistent when it didn't feel like it mattered. And that's the part people miss. The secret isn't having a lot of money, it's staying in the game long enough for small amounts to build on each other and become meaningful. And once you understand that, building wealth becomes a lot more approachable and a lot more realistic. For more content like this, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.